Wow, that was great stuff from the
Exactly.
Tochukwu
Yeah,
McFoy. Well, if you just joined us, you're right on time to meet our second guest on the program, and he'll be joining to look at gaming and digital reality.
Our next guest is the founder of Aturu Gaming, a video game designer who for many years successfully organized several gaming-oriented and community gatherings which have provided young Africans with business endorsements, investment opportunities, and industry standard skills. Our guest is Mr. Dominion Ero, and he will be joining us virtually this morning on the show. He's also a man who believes and preaches the message of social change through gaming. I love that. We are so glad, Dominion, that you are able to join us on this program. Hello and welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited. I really am.
Good.
You're welcome, Dominion.
Okay, so let's kick off. One of the attractions of owning a mobile phone in those days was the games we were able to play on them. Since then, these games have taken a new shape and new forms and have exploded to what we now describe as gaming and digital reality. We don't understand all of it. Please take us through
That's
it.
because you're old school.
We don't understand all of it. Yes. He's laughing. Okay. Yes.
So if you ask me, I think what we are perhaps witnessing right now is the greatest form of mass adoption you can think of. So 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you could have a really small mobile phone and all you could see is a game in black and white and to an extent enjoy that.
Okay.
But you see, when people become more interested in something, especially when you have the backing of digitization, right, it leads to something else, and that is competition, which means if you enjoy a game, for example, and someone else enjoys a different game, the creators of both games then have to compete among themselves for your attention. And in order to compete for your attention, they have to get better. And to get better, it means you have to increase your graphic quality, you have to increase just how great your game is. And we've been consistently doing that for the past, I believe, 30, 40 years now. And we've been pushing the boundaries of tech to give us better and better games. So that's why it is entirely shifting from just the little fun, hyper-casual games you could play on your phone. And now it's become this massive industry. It's because competition and the boundaries of technology that we're consistently pushing has given us the ability to make games that basically go side by side with real life. So that's why you have gaming and digital reality, that competition from gaming studios and the boundaries of technology that we are pushing. That's what's happening right now.
Okay, well, Dominion, if you think you've convinced me, then you're wrong. Well, because for me, you see, there appears to be some kind of magnetic pull with these gaming and digital reality devices. While some people would insist that it's the entertainment content and all of that, I beg to disagree. And I'll rather submit to you, if you don't mind, that there is certainly some kind of hypnotic force inherent in the composition of these games. Could you please unravel this for us, just for the sake of argument?
Okay, so here is the thing. Funny enough, I'm a game designer, and I shouldn't be telling you this, but I agree with you. The reason I agree with you is because in game design, there's something we call the illusory circle, right? What it means, it's a concept. What it means is when you're developing a game, draw a mental circle around that game. And there should be a clear mental difference between anyone who steps into that circle to play the game and steps outside of that circle or isn't playing the game. What that means is we inherently, as game designers, try to build the idea of immersion into our games. So when we are creating games, we ask ourselves, how are players going to love to play this? But what do I have to do to make a player keep wanting to play this game consistently? Which is why I believe if you look at most AAA games, I'm not referring to the small regular games you play on your phone, I'm referring to like big time games now, games like Far Cry 6, GTA 6, these games that make billions of dollars in revenue. Most of those games, the game producers are creative directors that maybe once directed movies, which rather now explains why they are able to make these games, and these games are so immersive. You get into the game, and it's like it's an entirely new world for you. You know, it's separate from what you regularly will do elsewhere. You have the ability to carve out your own future, which is why a lot of people love these games, especially kids, because when you are a regular person, the world is very restricted, you know. There are certain things you can do, but when you step into that world of gaming, you can be anything you want to be. So I'm not a footballer. I'm really not that good at football, let me be very honest. But I would pick up a gamepad and I can basically own a football character, right? The game gives me the ability to create a character, name that character Dominion, and I'm going to play with that character for the next 1 year, and I'm going to win championships and become a star, all virtual. But the truth is, I would never be able to do that in real life. So now I have that escape. I have this different place where I can create limitless possibilities. So that's why it's magnetic. It's giving people what real life doesn't give them, and that's opportunity.
I didn't think it would be that easy extracting a confession from you. So, I mean, now you are the one who's responsible for my daughter and my son, you know, locking themselves up in that bubble.
All day.
You know, and not thinking about anything else to do in the house.
It's scary.
If you think about it, sorry, can I go on?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so if you think about it, all products are naturally fashioned to be immersive, right? I mean, let's go back to the children example. Let's look at Cocoa Pops or any cereal you can think of that people normally enjoy taking, right? Children are meant to enjoy taking it. If they don't enjoy taking it, then there's a problem. They will stop taking it.
Yes.
So they're naturally created to love taking those things. The only difference between us in the games industry and all other industries is that we have something that works for us. We are all still fighting for immersion for people, but we have something that works for us, and that thing is limitless opportunities. So now your daughter can be a CIA agent tomorrow if she wants to be.
Yeah.
The next day, she is going to be an athlete. And the day after that, she's going to be a world-class fashion designer.
Okay.
Truth is, real life doesn't give her that opportunity, but our industry does, which is why people love it.
You know, incidentally, they tell us, John, that if you read a lot, you know, you can achieve what he just talked about. You can be all of the characters in the many books that you read.
Yeah.
And you can be all over the world. Depending on the part of the world, your stories that you read are crafted in, you know, but this is now digital. Welcome to digital world. Now, will it be the economic reward that most times come with winning that provides this entertainment? Because we're talking about the entertainment value in gaming.
Yes, I get you. Well, I really don't think it's only the economic reward. If you think of it, a lot of people don't earn from games. Matter of fact, a lot of people put their money into games, right? They buy games, they play games, and they spend their money on it, their data, their time, you know. We're in Nigeria, so let's talk about money for fuel. So it really just can't be the economic reward. There's economic reward right now, especially with esports, right? That's the latest thing in the sports industry right now. People play games as competitions and make money from that, you know. But there are so many other things. For example, in game design, there are different kinds of gamers. First of all, some people gain emotional rewards from competition. There are certain people that just like winning. It's that simple. They just want to play against somebody else and say, hey, I beat you at this. And they're happy. They feel good about themselves. So that's a personal reward. Other people are collaborative. For example, I'm a very collaborative gamer. So I want to have a game where me and my friends can chill and we're playing together, trying to achieve the same objective. You know, that's another reward of its own. I get the time to bond with my friends over something like a game. There are other people who are just achievement driven. For example, they play games and they believe, I want to get the high score. I want to get the high score. And that's all they're thinking about. Once again, this is another reward that people are getting. So restricting it to just the economic reward wouldn't show you the full scope of just how satisfactory the gaming industry is at the moment. For example, there's a game called Grand Theft Auto, and Grand Theft Auto created their online version. What the online version simply is like an entirely different universe where people go online, create their characters, and they just exist. Now, notice I didn't say play. I said exist because they could do different things, various things, talk to one another, attend events, drive around, basically do stuff, right? And a lot of people are now taking that as a form of entertainment altogether. I know friends who no longer use subscription packages like Netflix because they think to themselves, why go to Netflix, right? It's restricted. I can only watch a movie, and the movie has been given to me by whoever wrote the movie and directed and things of that sort. I could read the book, and the book has already been given to me. I can't change what's in that book. But with things like Grand Theft Auto and other games, I could basically decide my future. I could do things, and it could be out of the scope of what the writer intended, and it still works. It still happens, and that's the beautiful part of it. So there are so many rewards that come with it emotionally, and that's why I believe it's bigger than just an economic incentive.
Okay. Well, you see, I'm cool with you, all right? Because I think we're on the same page. But I worry about someone like Helen. I think we're beginning to leave her behind in the scope of things. You see, with digital reality comes...
You jab at me every Saturday morning. I'll get you.
With digital reality comes a specialized skill. Now, how do we carry people like Helen along? How do we equip them, with the needed skills in this area?
Okay.
Yeah, very true. I believe the most important thing about... I'm sorry. I believe the most important thing about like the technological age is the fact that, I'm sorry, but it's almost like a do or die affair right now. Because everything about our lives is now channeled there. It's difficult to exist outside the scope of technology and still create most of the meaningful achievements we want, whether it's social media, whether it's gaming, whether it's music, whether it's even cryptocurrency. These things are now defining the future. So what I believe happens when you want to get people involved in such things is that you take the easy routes. There are very simple versions of things like board games, even social media, and cryptocurrency and everything of that sort. There are basic versions that help people build in. For example, my mother doesn't really enjoy games that much. She's not really a gamer. But there are certain games you could give to her that are very simple to understand. You do this, and it gives you this, and then you do this. And suddenly now you enter a bus, and you see women playing games like Candy Crush. And suddenly you turn around and what's happening here? But they do, and they enjoy it. So those simplistic build-ups are what even help drive the more complex integrations. So you don't just start off with this crazy game where they're shooting and jumping and it's complex. No, you start with very simple stuff that is still
from
enjoyable,
the basics,
and everyone can buy in.
So we can introduce Helen to Scrabble.
John, please.
or the card games, yeah?
John is only joking. Don't mind. Don't take him seriously. He's just joking.
I would like to see like a game matchup between both of you to see who's actually picked.
You design one for us, eh? A brand new one. Okay.
No problem.
All right. This is a family program. And as you talk, as we go along, I'm beginning to think about, the positives and the negatives, the advantages and the disadvantages of all of this in terms of family cohesiveness and family bonding. I'm thinking about that in my head constantly. So would you recommend, for the purpose of this, that there be some measure of control, from our institutions in the use of these gaming and digital reality programs, so that we can, keep the family together, get some sanity?
Oh, I get you. And I'm going to use an example from previous technologies to show you my answer to that. Let's take social media, for example. Going into 2004, 5, 6, social media was the new rave. It was blowing up everywhere. And to a greater extent, it did detach certain family members, because as a young girl or a young guy, I'd rather talk to somebody from across the world that I've never met than sit down at the family table while having dinner and discuss my day. And it caused problems. It caused a lot of problems. And we started thinking to ourselves, should we regulate? How do we regulate? What do we do to stop these kids from doing it? And it didn't work. There was nothing we could do. But instead, the brilliant idea was to then move the entire family bonding activity, right? Okay. And create a digital version of it. So the real version still existed, but the digital version still existed. So now, rather than just getting on Facebook and getting on Twitter and all you can see are young people and you're messaging them and you're happy, your parents are on Twitter too now, right? Your parents are on Facebook. So you could post something and your mom comes on comment and is like, oh, my beautiful daughter. And suddenly you're like, wow, what is happening here? It's because we've digitized that family experience. And that's the thing about digitization. It is the most difficult and the most unnecessary thing to regulate. Rather, what you do is getting on that space and control from the inside. So now the parent can say, I saw you posted this thing. I don't think it's right. I think you should take it off, right? You could get a DM from an in-law, from anybody else. It's because rather than stay on the outside and say, the kids are doing what they're doing, let them do what they're doing and it's not my business, and you try to regulate from the outside, which doesn't work, you get in and find the best way to regulate. You know, my younger brother loves games too, and I realized that when we used to game together a lot, when I had a better PC at the time that was suited for gaming, it was easier to regulate the games he played. You know, whenever we played basketball games, NBA, because we loved basketball a lot, so we used to play against each other all the time. It's easy for me to say, okay, let's stop playing now and let's go do other things. Because I was playing with him and he was enjoying the experience and he listens to me because I understand him. Okay. But when it's games that I don't play and just he's the only one who plays that game, when I say, okay, I think you should stop that now and let's do something else, it's more difficult to get that to happen.
Yeah, but you see,
Dominion?
Sorry, Dominion, you see, what has happened is that I found that they've now created a different world. They've created two worlds. They've left us in the old world and they've created a new world for themselves. For instance, the conventional platforms, you know, the Facebooks and all of that. Yes, you'll find my daughter Instagram, or you'll find her there, but not as active. Which means that her activity is more on other platforms that I am not even privy to at all. You know, so that's what I see.
So what he says is that you must get into that space.
They won't allow you. You won't even know you won't even know what space it is. That's what they're doing now, and I've found them out, and I'm going to work on it. You know, which now leads me to my next question, Dominion. You know, how can government itself, because a lot of these initiatives are private. Maybe if government gets in, we'll get a little more control. How can government key into the gaming and digital reality sphere? And are there any economic potentials for them in that area?
All right. Okay, so before I answer this question, let me just jot it down. The previous question, when you spoke about the new reality, the new world that has been created, anything you think of as the new world for gaming, right? Double it in your head. Sorry, triple it in your head. That's how big it now is. Right? It's much bigger than you can even imagine. Let me give you great examples. There's something called Roblox, right? That
I never heard of that.
Yes, and the thing about Roblox is that, once again, it's an entirely different world that you go to, and you can game and do stuff and have fun and have digital versions of yourself. It's so immersive. It is so immersive that a lot of people now don't see the need to be active on social media, general social media like Facebook and Twitter, because they can be there with their friends and play. Yes. A lot of people also escape from things like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon movies, because they create movies for themselves with their very digital lives. So what you are seeing right now is the gaming industry stepping in every single other form of entertainment and social collaboration and building it on the platform of games and digital reality. So it is getting big and bigger, and you cannot stop it. The only thing to do is put in the effort to be there, be in their faces. And I'm saying this to anyone who can listen. Be there and be in their faces, because what would happen tomorrow is that if you're not, you would simply have children or people, right, who are extremely detached from what you call reality, because for them, reality is simply just what you make of it and what you think of it.
We're already there. We're already there, I'm afraid. Because, you see, I constantly see our children. I see them in their bubbles. I see them in bubbles. You know, they are so locked up in those bubbles, and it's difficult for anyone else to get
And
in
you're
there.
afraid for them, but they just can't
I'm
understand
so
why you
worried.
are. You know, they're
Yes.
moving so fast and... Yes, you were going to say
Yeah.
something.
Okay, because when you talk about fear, for example, you're afraid because you look at what you call reality. And this sometimes you see this person and this person is seemingly detached from it. But remember that how we define our lives is always based on the eras we live in and the mentalities of those who are within our age group. So a young girl, for example, who is an ardent gamer, she games a lot. Her friends game too, for example. So when you're afraid for her, right, and you say, what else are you doing? You're stuck on this. She can't understand you because she looks around and the people who she should be talking to or she should be talking to are gaming too. And they're all in that space. And she says, well, my life is fine. I mean, my friends and I are hanging out right now. We're all playing this game together. So that's why I think it's the most important thing when you see digitization changing how people live or you see digitization changing culture is to understand. When you understand, you can easily relate, and when you relate, you can control. But when you sit from the back and just say, that's bad, in most cases, it never gives the proper correction that we want.
Well, maybe you give us the formula for unlocking those
Not,
doors, because
definitely not on
I've been
television.
knocking on those doors for quite a while now.
See?
You know, which is
See?
why I'm looking for a
The,
way.
the four fingers are pointing right back at you. You see?
So, what game do you play?
Okay, what game do you play, he asked.
What game do I play? Oh, I play several games. I don't want Helen
don't
to
want
get
to-
into my world.
Sure, you see?
I don't want Helen to get into my world. She's been trying to crash in.
Okay. I think it's been so exciting having this conversation with this young man. So enlightened, so imaginative. And you've given us loads of answers, John.
Yes. I mean, never would one have imagined that, you know, there was so much depth in what we've been seeing from such a distance. So,
Yes.
Dominion, I want to say that...
Is there something else Dominion would like to add just before we let you off? Is there something else
Okay.
that's critical?
Yes, definitely. Just quickly, remember you asked on that question about the economic value
Yes.
and what the government
Yes.
can do.
Yes.
In a
Government should
minute.
just do two things. Okay, I'll say one thing, and it will sound like a risk, but it's the only truth I know. For now, the government should support blindly. I know why I didn't just say support. I said support blindly because when industries are young, you don't support with caution and excessive regulation because what that will do is box the industry in. But what you do is support, let the industry thrive, then you then find a way to tweak things and adjust things to where you want it to be. I'll give you a good example because you barely see game developers in Nigeria or even in Africa as a whole. We're very few. My team and I just secured this grant fund a few weeks ago. And what it has done is allowed us really loosen up and develop a game with ease. And we're doing it happily now because we secured that grant fund, but that grant fund is not from Nigeria. You know, it came from the International Game Developers Association. You know, why that is important is because if you have such grant funds from Nigeria, if you have support from Nigerian governments, it doesn't just mean people get money from Nigerian governments. No.
Okay.
What it means is venture capitalists and investors who see the Nigerian government doing so are now more likely to do so. And you know they have more money than the government. So it means if the government is putting £1 billion in today, in the next few weeks, you hear that venture capitalists are putting 10 billion. Because they believe if the government supports this, then it's easy for us to support too. And when the government supports that, the economic values are crazy, right? The gaming industry is like one of the fastest growing industries in the world at the moment. It is ridiculously exponential. In fact, the funds, the revenue gotten from the gaming industry is bigger than the revenue gotten from music and movies combined
Okay.
right
Wow.
now in the world. That's how big it is. But nobody really talks about it because they just keep it on the low and do what they're doing and they make the money. But Africa can key into that because we have amazing creatives.
Okay.
You know what? You know what, Dominion? You enjoy your bubble, but trust me, we're going to bust that bubble and crash into your world very soon.
Well,
Okay.
wait till you really are.
Thank you so very much, Dominion. Thank you. God bless you for, you know, shedding so much light in this area. You know, for some of us here and for a lot of people who definitely are in your you know.
For some of us.
Yes. Thank you, Dominion. Thank you. We wish you the very best, okay, in your endeavors.
Thank you very much. It's been amazing being on this show. So thank you, John, and thank you, Helen.
Thank you. Okay, so it's been Entertainment in Focus, and the show is Today with John and Helen. And for the whole month of May, we will be looking at entertainment from different perspectives. Next, fresh and hot, is visual and theater arts as types of entertainment. And you know from who? Pharaoh Owotomo, our lifestyle host, is ready with her guests. But before that, let's shake this body a little bit, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find out what the Keep Fit coach has for us today.